Shalom, dear viewers, wherever you are watching from. Today we are in episode 2 of second uh, episode 1 of Second Chronicles, and we are going to read from chapter 1 to chapter 18 in this first episode. My name is Joseph Njenga, and if you have not been following the 40 days journey of scripture reading as we read the whole scripture, kindly don't hesitate to take a look in Messianic version here in YouTube, Injili Milele ya Yahshua Messiah, also here in YouTube, and Facebook, Victor Kiiru. Don't forget also to subscribe to Yahweh is Salvation Media for more encouraging scripture teachings from assemblies of Yahweh. Without much ado, I want to start reading today's scriptures. And if you haven't subscribed to these channels, kindly do. Chapter 1. And Shlomo son of David strengthened himself over Israel, and Yahweh his Elohim was with him, and made him exceedingly great. And Shlomo spoke to all Israel, to the commanders of the thousands and of the hundreds, to the judges, and to every leader in all Israel, the heads of this house. And Shlomo and all the assembly with him went to the high place that was at Gibon. Elohim's tent of meeting was there, which Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, had made in the wilderness. However, David had brought up the ark of him from Kiriath Yearim to the place David had prepared for it. He had pitched a tent for it in Jerusalem, and the bronze altar that Bezalel son of Uri son of Hur made he put before the dwelling place of Yahweh, and Shlomo and the assembly sought it. Shlomo went up there to the bronze altar before Yahweh, which was at the tent of meeting, and offered 1,000 burnt offering on it. That night Yahweh appeared to Shlomo and said to him, "Ask what should I give you?" And Shlomo said to Yahweh, "You have shown great kindness to David my father, and have made me sovereign in his place. Now, Yahweh Elohim, let your promise to David my father stand fast, for you have set me up to reign over a people as numerous as dust of the earth. Now give me wisdom and knowledge, so that I go out and come in before these people. For who is able to rightly rule this great people of yours?" And Yahweh said to Shlomo, "Because this was in your heart, and you have not asked riches or wealth or esteem or the life of your enemies, nor have you asked long life, but have asked wisdom and knowledge for yourself, so as to rightly rule my people over whom I have set you up to reign. Wisdom and knowledge are given to you, and riches and wealth and esteem I also give to you, such as none of the sovereigns have had who have been before you, nor have after you have." And Shlomo went to Jerusalem from the high place that was at Gibon, from before the tent of meeting, and reigned over Israel. Shlomo gathered the chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he stationed in the chariot cities and with the sovereign in Jerusalem. And the sovereign made silver and gold to be as stones in Jerusalem, and he made cedars to be as plenty as the sycamores which are in low country. And Shlomo had houses imported from Islam and from Q. The sovereign's merchant brought them in Q at a price. And they come up and brought from Misraim a chariot for 600 pieces of silver and a house for 150. And so for all sovereigns of the Hittites and the sovereigns of Aram, they brought them out by their hand. And Shlomo gave word to build a house for the name of Yahweh and house for his reign. Chapter 2, we are in chapter 2. And Shlomo gave word to build a house for the name of Yahweh and a house for his reign. Then Shlomo enrolled 70,000 men to bear burdens, 80,000 hewing stone in the mountains, and 3,600 to see them. And Shlomo sent to Huram, sovereign of Sor, saying, as you did for my father David, and sent him cedars to build himself a house to dwell in. See, I'm building a house for the name of Yahweh, my Elohim, to set it apart to him, to burn before him sweet incense, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offering morning and evening, on the Sabbath, and on the new moon, and on the appointed times of Yahweh, our Elohim. This is for Israel forever. And the house which I build is great, for our Elohim is greater than all mighty ones. But who is able to build him a house, since the heavens and the earth of the heavens are able to contain him? Who am I then, that I should build him a house, except to offer for him? And now send me at once a man who knows to work in gold and in silver and in bronze and in iron and in purple and crimson and blue, and knowing to engrave with the skilled men with me in Yehuda and Jerusalem, whom David my father has prepared. And send me cedar, cypress, and algum logs from Lebanon. For I know that your servants know to cut timber in Lebanon, and see, my servants are with your servants. Then to prepare plenty of timber for me, for the house that I am building is great and marvelous. And see, I have given servants to you, the hewers, to cut timbers, 20,000 cors of ground weight, and 20,000 cors of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil. Then Huram, the sovereign of Sor, answered in writing, which he sent to Shlomo, because Yahweh loves his people. He has made you sovereign over them. And Huram said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, who made the heavens and earth, for he has given sovereign David a wise son, knowing wisdom and understanding, to build a house for Yahweh and a house for his reign. And now I have sent a skilled man having understanding, Huram, son of a woman of the daughter of Dan, and his father was a man of Sor, who knows to work in gold and in silver and in bronze, in iron, in stone and in wood, purple and blue, and in fine linen and in crimson, and to make any engraving, and to accomplish any part that is given to him, with your skilled men and with the skilled men of my master David your father. And now the wheat and the barley, the oil and the wine, which my master has spoken of, let him send to his servant. Let us cut wood from Lebanon as much as you need, and bring it to you in rafts by sea to year 4, and you take it up to Jerusalem. And Shlomo numbered all men, the strangers who were in the land of Israel, according to the census in which David his father had numbered them. And they were found to be 150,600. And he made 70,000 of them to bear burdens, and 80,000 hewers of stone in the mountain, and 3,600 overseers to make the people work. Chapter 3. And Shlomo began to build the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem on Mount Moriah, where he appeared to his father David, at the place that David had prepared on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And he began to build on the second day on the month the 4th year of his reign. And there are the foundations, and these are the foundations which Solomon laid for building the house of Yahweh. The length of the cubits according to the former measure was 60 cubits, and the width 20 cubits. The porch that was in front was 20 cubits long according to the breadth of the house, and the height was 120, and he overlaid the inside of the clean gold. And the great house he panelled with cypress, which he overlaid fine gold, and carved palm trees and chain work on it. And he covered the house with precious stone for comeliness, and the gold was gold from Parwayim. And he overlaid the house, the beams, the doorpost, and its doors with gold, and carved cherubim on the walls. And he made the house of the most set apart. Its length was according to the width of this house, 20 cubits, and its width 20 cubits, and he overlaid it with fine gold, 600 talents, and the weight of the nails was 50 shekel of gold, and he overlaid the upper rooms with gold. In the most set apart house he made 2 cherubim of captured work, and overlaid them with gold. And the wings of the cherubim, their total length was 20 cubits. One wing was 5 cubits, touching the walls of the room, and the other wings was 5 cubits, touching the wings of the cherub. And the wing of the other cherub was 5 cubits, touching the walls of the room. The other wing also was 5 cubits, touching the wing of the other cherub. The wings of these cherubim spread out 20 cubits, and they stood on their feet, and they faced inward. And he made veil of blue and purple and crimson and wine and fine linen, and worked cherubim on it. And at the front of the house he made 2 columns 35 cubits high, and a capital that was on the top of each of them was 5 feet. And he made wreath of chainwork as in the speaking place, and put them on top of the columns. And he made 100 pomegranates, and put them on the wreath of chainwork. And he set up columns before the hekal on the right and on the other of the left, and called the name of the one of the right Yakin, and the name of the other on the left was. Chapter 4. And he made an altar of bronze 20 cubits long, and 20 cubits wide, and 10 cubits high. And he made the sea of cast metal 10 cubits from one rim to another, round all about, and its height was 5 cubits, and a linen, and a line of 30 cubits measured around it. And figures like oxen were under it, and around it 10 a cubit all the way around the sea. 2 rows of oxen were cast when it was cast. Stood on 12 oxen, 3 facing north, and 3 facing west, and 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. And the sea was set upon them, and all their back parts were inward. And it was a handbreadth thick, and its rim was shaped like the rim of a cup, like a lily blossom. It was 3,000 baths, and he made 10 basins, and put 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left hand to wash in them. In them they rinsed off what pertained of the burnt offering, but the sea was for the priest to wash in. And he made 10 lampstands of gold according to their ruling, and set them in the hekal, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. And made 10 tables, and placed them in the hekal, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left. And he made 100 bowls of gold. And he made the courtyard of the priest, and the great court and door for the court, and he overlaid the doors with bronze. And he He placed the sea on the right side, eastward over against the south. And Huram made the pots and the shovels and the bows. So Huram completed doing the work that he was to do for sovereign Solomon, the house of Yahweh. The two columns and the ball-shaped capitals that were on top of the two columns and the two networks to cover the two bowl-shaped capitals which were on the top of the columns, and 400 pomegranates for the two networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network to cover the two bowl-shaped capitals that were on the columns. And he made stands and the basins on the stands, on sea and 12 oxen under it, and the pots and the shovel and the forks, and all their vessels. Huram his master craftsman made polished bronze, sovereign Solomon for the house of Yahweh. The plain of Yarden, the sovereign had made cast in clay molds between Sukkot and Sedathah. Solomon made so large a number of all these vessels that the weight of the bronze was not searched out. And Solomon and had all the furnishing made for the house of Yahweh, and the altar of gold, and the table of which was the showbread, and the lanterns with their lamps on fine gold, to burn according to right leading in front of the speaking place, and the blossoms of the lamp, and the snuffers of gold and of perfect gold, and the snuffers, and the bowls, and the ladles, and the fire holders of refined gold, and the entrance of the house in its inner door to the most set apart place, and the doors of the hekal of the house were of gold. Chapter 5. And all the work that Solomon had done for the house of Yahweh was completed, and Solomon brought in the set apart items for his father David, silver and the gold, and all the utensils, and he put them in the treasuries of the house of Yahweh. And Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahweh from the city of David, which is Zion. And all the men of Israel assembled to the sovereign at the festival, which was in the 7th month, and all the elders of Israel came, and the Levites took up the ark. They brought up the ark, the tent of meeting, and all the set apart utensils that were in the tents. The Levites priests brought them up. The sovereign Solomon and all the congregation of Israel, who were assembled to him before the ark, were slaughtering so many sheep and cattle that could not be counted or numbered. The priest brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahweh to its place into the speaking place of the house, the most set apart place, under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread their wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubim covered over the ark and its poles. The poles were so long that the ends of the poles of the ark were seen from the set apart place in front of the speaking place. They were not seen from outside, and they were there to this day. They are there to this day. There was not in the ark but the 2 tablets which Moshe put there at Horeb. Then Yahweh made a covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of Mizraim. And it came to be, when the priest came out of the most set apart place, for all the priests who were present had set themselves apart, there was none to watch by division. And the Levites, singers, and all those of the Saf and Heman and Yehudun, which their sons and their brothers stood at the east end of the altar, dressed in white linen, having cymbals and harps and lyres, and with them 120 priests sounding with trumpets. Then it came to be, as the trumpeters and the singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard in praising and thanking Yahweh. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpet, with cymbals, and with instruments of song, and giving praise to Yahweh, for is good, for his kindness is everlasting, that the house of Yahweh, was filled with a cloud. And the priests were unable to stand and perform the service because of the cloud, for the esteem of Yahweh filled the house of Yahweh. Chapter 6. Then Shlomo said to Yahweh, Yahweh has said, you will dwell in the ark, in the dark cloud. But I have built you an exalted house and a set place for you to dwell in forever. And the sovereign turned around and blessed the assembly of Israel, while the other assembly of Israel stood. And he said, Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel, who has filled with his hands what he spoke with his mouth to my father David, saying, From the day that I brought my people out of the land of Mizraim, I have chosen no city from any tribe of Israel in which to build a house for my name to be there. Nor did I choose any man to be a leader of my people Israel, but I have chosen Jerusalem for my name to be there, and I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. And it was in the heart of my father David to build a house for the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel. But Yahweh said to my father David, Because it was in your heart to build a house for my name, you did well in that it was in your heart. But you do not build the house for your son who comes forth from your loins. He does build the house for my name. Now Yahweh has established his word which he spoke, and I have been raised up instead of my father David. I sit on the throne of Israel, and Yahweh promised, and I have built the house for the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel. And there I have placed the ark in which is the covenant of Yahweh, which he made with the children of Israel. And he stood before the altar of Yahweh in front of all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hand. And Shlomo had made a bronze platform 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad, and 3 cubits high, and had put it in the midst of the court, and he stood on it, and he knelt down on his knees before all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hands toward the heavens, and said, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, there is no Elohim in the heavens or on the earth like you, guiding the covenants and kindness with your servants, who walk before you with all their hearts, who have guarded what you promised to your servant David, my father. Indeed, you have both spoken with your mouth and have filled it with your hand, and it is this day. And now, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, guard what you promised your servant David my father, saying, It is not to cease a man of yours before me, sitting on the throne of Israel only. Your sons guard their way to walk in my Torah, as you have talked before me. And now, O Yahweh Elohim of Israel, let your word come true, which you have spoken to your servant David. For it is true, Elohim dwells with men on the earth. See, the heavens and the heavens of the heavens are unable to contain you, but much less this house which I have built. Yet shall you turn to the prayer of your servant and his supplication, O Yahweh my Elohim. Listen to the cry and to the prayer which your servant is praying before you. Your eyes to be open toward this house day and night, toward the place you have said to put your name there. Listen to the prayer which your servant prays toward this place. And shall you give heed to the supplications of your servant and your people Israel, when they pray toward this place, and hear from your dwelling place the heavens, and shall hear and forgive? If anyone sins against his neighbor, and he has lifted up an oath on him, to cause him to swear, and come and swears before your altar in this house, Then hear in the heavens and act, and right rule your servant, repaying the wrong by bringing his way on his own head, and declare the righteous by giving him according to the righteousness. And if your people Israel are smitten before any enemy because they have sinned against you, and they shall turn back to confess your name and pray and make supplication before you in this house, then hear in heaven and forgive the sins of thy people Israel, and bring them back to the land which you gave to them, their fathers. And the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain, because they have sinned against you. And they shall pray toward this place, and confess your name, and turn from their sins, because you afflict them. Then hear in the heavens, and forgive the sins of your servants, your people Israel, for you teach them the good way in which they should walk, and shall send rain on your land, which you have given to the people as an inheritance. Then there is scarcity of food in the land, when there is pestilence or blight or medley, locusts or grasshoppers, when their enemies distress them in the land of their cities, any plague or any sickness, whatever prayer, whatever supplication is made by anyone or by all your people Israel, when each one knows his own plagues and his own grief, and spread out his hand to this house, then hear from the heavens your dwelling place, and forgive, and to give everyone according to all his way. Whose heart you know, for you alone know the heart of your sons of men, so that they fear you, to walk in your way as long as they live in the land which you gave to our father. Also concerning a foreigner who is not of your people Israel, but who comes from a far land, for the sake of your great name and your strong hand and your outstretched arm, when they come and pray in this house, then hear from the heavens your dwelling place, and do according to all which the foreigner calls to you for, so that all the people of the earth know your name and fear you, and do your people Israel, as do your people Israel, and to know that which this house which I build is called by your name. Then your people go out to battle against their enemies in the way that you send them, and they shall pray to you toward this city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I build your name. Then shall you hear from the heavens their prayers and their supplication, maintain their cause. Then when they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become enraged with them, and give them to the enemy, and they take them captive to a land far or near, and they shall turn back unto their heart, the land where they have been taken captive, and shall turn and make supplication to you in the land of their captivity, saying, We have sinned, we have acted crookedly, and have done wrong. And when they return to you with all their heart and all their being in the land of their captivity, where they have taken them captive, and they shall pray toward their land which you gave to their fathers, and to the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then you shall hear from the heavens your dwelling place their prayers and their supplication, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Now, my Elohim, I pray, let your eyes be open, and let your ears be attentive to the prayer of this place. Now arise, O Yahweh Elohim, to your resting place, you and the ark of your strength. Let your praise, O Yahweh Elohim, be robed with deliverance, and let your kind one rejoice in goodness. O Yahweh Elohim, do not turn away the face of your anointed. Remember the kind act of your servant David. Chapter 7. And when Shlomo had ended praying, fire came down from the heavens and consumed the burnt offering, altar. The steam of Yahweh filled the house. And the priests were unable to enter the house of Yahweh because the steam of Yahweh had filled the house of Yahweh. And all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down and the steam of Yahweh of the house on the house, and they bowed their faces to the ground, the pavement, and did obeisance and gave thanks to Yahweh, saying, "For he is good, for his kindness is everlasting." And the sovereign and all the people were making offering before Yahweh. And the sovereign Shlomo made an offering of 22,000 bulls and 120,000 sheep. Thus the sovereign and all the people dedicated the house of Yahweh. And the priests were standing over their duties, and the Levites with their instruments of the song to Yahweh, which sovereign David had made, give thanks to Yahweh, saying, "For his kindness is everlasting," whenever David praised by their hand. And the priests were blowing trumpet before them, and all Israel was standing. And Shlomo set apart the middle of the courtyard that was in front of the house of Yahweh. For there he made burnt offering, and part of the peace offering was the bronze altar Shlomo had made was not able to contain the burnt offering, the grain offering, and the fat. Shlomo at that time observed the festival 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great assembly from the entrance of Hamath to the Wadi of Raim. And on the 8th day they held an assembly, for they performed the dedication of the altar 7 days and festival 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month he sent the people away of their tents, rejoicing and glad of heart for the goodness that Yahweh had done for David and for Shlomo and for his people Israel. As Shlomo finished the house of Yahweh and the sovereign's house, and all that came into the heart of Shlomo to do the house of Yahweh and in his own house, he prosperously executed. And Yahweh appeared to Shlomo by night and said to him, "I have heard your prayer, and have chosen this place for myself as a house of slaughtering. If I shut up the heavens and there is no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, and my people upon whom my name is called shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their evil ways, then I shall hear from the heavens and give their sins and heal their land. Now my eyes are open and my ears attentive to the prayer of this praise. Now I have chosen and set this house apart for my name to be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall always be there. And to you, if you walk before me as your father David walked, and do according all that I have commanded you, and if you guard my laws and my right rulings, then I shall establish the throne of your reign, as I covenanted with David your father, saying, there is not to cease a man of yours as a ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my law and commands which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other mighty ones, bow yourself to them, and I shall pluck them from my land which I have given them, and this house which I have set apart for my name I shall cast out of my sight, and make it to be a proverb, a mockery among all. And this house which I have been exalted, everyone who passes by it shall be astonished and say, why has Yahweh done thus to this land and this house? Then they shall say, because they forsake Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, who brought them out of the land of Mizraim, and praise other men, and bow themselves to them, and serve them. Therefore he has brought all this. Chapter 8. And it came to be at the end of 20 years that Shlomo had built the house of Yahweh and his own house. As to the cities which Huram had given to Shlomo, Shlomo had built them, and he settled the children of Israel there. And Shlomo went to Hamath Zobah and seized it, and built Tadmor in the wilderness, and all the storage city which he built in Hamath. And he built Upper Beth Horon and Lower Beth Horon, city of defense, which with horse, gates, and bars, and Baalath, and all the storage cities that Shlomo had, and all the chariot cities, and the cities of the Calvary, and all that Shlomo desired to build in Yeshalayim, and in Lebanon, and in all the land of Israel. All the people were left on the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, who were not of Israel. Their descendants, who were left in the lands after them, whom the children of Israel did not destroy from this, Shlomo raised compulsory labor, as it is to this day. And Shlomo did not make slaves of the children of Israel for his work, but they were men of battle, and chiefs of his officers, and commanders of his chariots, and his cavalry. And there were the chiefs, and these were the chiefs of the official of the sovereign Shlomo, 250, who ruled over the people. And Shlomo brought the daughter of Pharaoh up the city of David to the house he had built Ra, and he said, My wife does not dwell in the house of David, sovereign of Israel, for the place where the ark has come is set apart. Then Shlomo offered burnt offering to Yahweh on the altar of Yahweh, which he had built before the porch. Even as duty of everyday required offering, according to the command of Moshe, for the Sabbath and for the new moons and for the appointed times 3 times a year, the festivals of unleavened bread, and the festivals of the week, and the festivals of booths. And according to the right ruling of David his father, he appointed the divisions of the priests, the service, and Levites for their duties to praise and serve before the priest, as the duty of each day required, and the gatekeepers by their division at each gate. For so was the command of David, the man of Yahweh. And they did not turn aside from the command of the sovereign to the priests and Levites concerning the matter of concerning the treasuries. And all the work of Shlomo was prepared from the day of the foundation of the house of Yahweh until it was completed, and the house of Yahweh was perfected. Then Shlomo went to Etzion's Geber Eliod on the seacoast in the land of Edom. And Huram sent him ships by the hand of his servant, and servants who knew the sea. And they went into the servants of Shlomo to Ophir, and took 450 talents of gold from there, and brought it to sovereign Shlomo. Chapter 9. And the foreigners of Sheba heard of the report of Shlomo, and came to Jerusalem to try Shlomo with hard questions, with a very great company, and camels bearing spices, and much gold and precious stones. And she came to Shlomo, and she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. And Shlomo answered all her questions, and there was no matter hidden for Shlomo which he did not make known to her. And foreigners of Sheba saw the wisdom of Shlomo, and the house that he built, and the food of his table on his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the service of his waiters, and their attire, and their cupbearers, and their attire, and his burnt offering that he offered up in the house of Yahweh. And there was no more spirit in her. Then she said to the sovereign, True was the word I heard my own land about your words and your wisdom. But I did not believe their words until I came and saw with my own eyes. And see, I have not been told half of the great exceed the reward. Blessed are your men, and blessed are these your servants who stand continually before you and by your wisdom. Blessed be Yahweh your Elohim, who delighted in you and put you on his throne to be sovereign for Yahweh your Elohim. Because your Elohim has loved Israel to establish them forever, therefore he has made you sovereign over them to do right ruling and righteousness. And she gives the sovereign 120 talents of gold and very many spices and precious stones. And there has not been any spices such as those the sovereignness of Sheba gave to sovereign Shlomo. And also the servants of Huram and the servants of Shlomo who brought gold from Ophir brought argum, wood and precious stones. And the sovereign made stairs of the algum wood for the house of Yahweh, and for the sovereign house, lyres and harps for singers. And there was never been like of them before in the land of Judah. And sovereign Shlomo gave to the sovereignness of Sheba all they desired, whatever she asked, beside what she had brought to the sovereign. And she turned and went to her own land, and she and her servants. And the weight of gold that came to Shlomo yearly was 660 talents of gold, beside that which the merchants and the traders brought. And all the sovereigns of Arabia and governors of the land were bringing gold and silver to Shlomo. Sovereign Shlomo made 200 large shields of beaten gold. 600 pieces of beaten gold went into each shield, and 300 shields of beaten gold. 300 pieces of gold went into each shield. And the sovereign put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. And the sovereign made a great throne of ivory, overlaid it with clean gold, and 6 steps led to the stone, with a full of gold, which fastened to the throne. And there were armrests on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the armrest. And 12 lions were standing there, one on each side of the 6th step. The like of it was not in any reign. And all the drinking vessels of sovereign Shlomo were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of forest of Lebanon were of refined gold. Silver was reckoned on the little value in the days of Shlomo. The sovereign's ship went to Tarshish with the servants of Huram. 1 in 3 years, ship of Tarshish came, bringing gold and silver, ivory, apes, and baboons. And sovereign Shlomo became greater than all the sovereigns on the earth in the richness and wisdom. And all the sovereigns of the earth sought the presence of Shlomo to hear his wisdom, with which Elohim may give in his heart. And each man brought his present, object of silver and object of gold, and garments and armor and spices, houses and moors, the matter of a year by year. And Shlomo had 4,000 stores for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen, whom he stationed in the chariot cities with the sovereign at Jerusalem. And he ruled over the sovereigns from the river to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Mizraim. And the sovereign made silver in Jerusalem, stones. He made cedar trees as plenty as the sycamores which are in the low country. And they were bringing houses to Shlomo from Mizraim and all land. And the rest of the acts of Shlomo first, last, Are they not written in the book of Nathan the prophet, and the prophecy of Ahiah the Shilonite, and the vision of Iddo the seer concerning Jeroboam son of Nebat? And Shlomo reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. So Shlomo slept with his fathers, was buried in the city of David, his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his place. Chapter 10. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel had gone to Shechem to set him up to reign. It came to be, when Jeroboam son of Nebat heard it, he was in Mizraim, where he had fled from the presence of Shlomo the sovereign, that Jeroboam returned from Mizraim. So they sent for him and called him, and Jeroboam and all Israel came and spoke to Jeroboam, saying, Your father made our yoke hard, and now lighten the hard service of your father and his heavy yoke which he put on us, then shall serve you. And he said to them, Come back to me after 3 days. And the people went. Then sovereign Rehoboam consulted the elders who stood before his father Shlomo, which he still lived, saying, What do you advise me to answer these people? And they spoke to him, saying, If you are good to those people and shall please them and speak good word to them, shall be your servants all the days. But he ignored the advice of elders. The elders gave him and consulted the young men who had grown up with him, who stood before him, said to them, What advice do you give? How should we answer these people who have spoken to me, saying, Lighten the yoke which your father put on us? And the young men who had grown up with him spoke to him, saying, Say this to the people who have spoken to you, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy, but you make it light on us. Say this to them. My little finger is thicker than my father's waist. And now your father put a heavy yoke on you, but I add on your yoke. My father chastised with whips, but I with augers. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam on the 3rd day, and the sovereign commanded, saying, Come back to me the 3rd day. As the sovereign commanded, saying, Come back to me the 3rd day. And the sovereign answered them harshly. Thus said Rehoboam, ignored the advice of the elder, and spoke to them according to the advice of the young men, saying, My father had made your yoke heavy, but I add to it. My father chastised you with whips, but I with scourges. So the sovereign did not listen to the people, for the turn of events was from Elohim, order Yahweh to establish his word, which he has spoken the hand of Yahweh, the Shilonite, Jeroboam, son of Nebat. When all Israel saw that the sovereign did not listen to them, the people answered the sovereign, saying, What portion have we in David, and we have no inheritance, the son of Shai? Every man your mighty ones, O Israel. Now see your own house, O David. So all Israel went their tents. But for the children of Israel who dwelt in the cities of Yehudah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then sovereign Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the compulsory labor. The children of Israel stoned him, stones, and died. And sovereign Rehoboam hastily mounted a chariot to flee to Jerusalem. Thus Israel revolted against the house of David to this day. Chapter 11. And when Rehoboam came to Jerusalem, he assembled from the house of Judah and Benjamin 120,000 chosen brave men to fight against Israel, to bring back the reign of to Rehoboam. But the word of Yahweh came to Shemaiah, the man of Elohim, saying, Speak to Rehoboam, son of Shelomoth, sovereign of Judah, and to Israel, Judah and Benjamin, saying, Thus says Yahweh, do not go up or fight against your brothers. Let every man return to his house. This matter is from me. So they obeyed the word of Yahweh and turned back from going against Rehoboam. And Rehoboam dwelt in Jerusalem, built city for defense in Yehudah, and he built Bethlehem and Sham and Tekoa, and Beit Sur and Soko and Adullam and Gad and Mareshah and Zil and Adoraim and Lachish and Azerhar and Sorah and Ayalon and Hebron, which are in Yehudah and Benjamin, cities of David. And he strengthened the stronghold and commanders in them, and stores of oil and wine and shield and spear in every city, and made them very strong. Thus Yehudah and Benjamin were his, and all their borders, the priests and the Levites who were in all Israel took their stand. And the Levites left their open hands, and their possession came to Yehudah and Jerusalem to Jeroboam and his sons, and rejected them from serving as priests unto me. As he appointed for himself priests for the high places and the carved idols. After Levites left those from all tribes of Israel, such as the heart to seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel, came to Jerusalem to offer to Yahweh Elohim of their fathers. And they strengthened their reign of Judah and made Rehoboam son of they walk in the way David and Rehoboam took for himself as wife Mahalath, the daughter of Jerome, son of David, and Ail, the daughter of Shai. She bore him sons, Jeush, Shemariah, and Zaham. And after her he took Maacah, the granddaughter of Absalom. She bore him Abiah and Athaliah and Shelomith. And loved Maacah, the granddaughter of Absalom, more than all his wives and his concubines, for he had taken 18 wives and 60 concubines, brought forth 28 sons and 60 daughters. Rehoboam appointed Abiah, son of his chief leader among his people, in order he had understanding, and passed some of his sons through all lands of you. Benjamin to all the cities of defense, and gave them for provision. So many wives. Chapter 12. And it came to be, when Rehoboam had established the reign and had strengthened himself, that he forsook the Torah of Yahweh, and all Israel with him. And it came to be in the 5th year of the sovereign Rehoboam that Shishak, sovereign of Mizraim, came up against Jerusalem, because they had trespassed against Yahweh, with 1,200 chariots and 60,000 horsemen, and innumerable people who came with him out of Mizraim, the Lubim, the Sukkites, and the Cushites. And he took the cities of defense of Yehudah and came to Jerusalem. And Shemaiah the prophet came to Rehoboam and the ruler of Yehudah, who had been gathered in Jerusalem because of Shishak, and said to them, Thus said Yahweh, you have forsaken me, and therefore I also have left you in the hand of Shishak, the ruler of Israel. And the sovereign humbled themselves, and they said, Yahweh is righteous. And when Yahweh saw that they humbled themselves, the word of Yahweh came to Shemaiah, saying, They have humbled themselves. I do not destroy them, but I shall give to them some deliverance, and not pour out my wrath on Jerusalem by the hands of Shishak. But they are to become his servants, so that they know my service and the service of the reigns of the land. And Shishak, sovereign of Mizraim, came up against Jerusalem and took away the treasures of the house of Yahweh and the treasures of the sovereign's house. He also took this gold shield which Shlomo had made. The sovereign Rehoboam made bronze shield to replace them and committed them in the hands of the chief of the guard, who guard the entrance of the sovereign's house. And it came to be, whenever the sovereign went into the house of Yahweh, the guard would go and bring them out, then they would take back into his guard room. And when he humbled himself, the wrath of Yahweh turned from him, so as not to destroy him completely. And the matters also went well in Yehudah. So sovereign Rehoboam strengthened himself in Jerusalem and reigned. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he became sovereign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, city which Yahweh had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah the Ammonite. And he did evil because he did not prepare his heart to seek Yahweh. And the acts of Rehoboam the first and the last, are they not written in the book of Shemaiah the prophet, and of Iddo the seer concerning genealogies? And there was fighting between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all the days. So Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David, and Abiah his son reigned in his place. Chapter 13. In the 18th year of sovereign Jeroboam, Abiah began to reign over Yehudah. He reigned there years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Micaiah, the daughter of Uriel of Gibah. And there was fighting between Abiah and Jeroboam. And Abiah joined battle with an army, mighty men of battle, 400,000 chosen men. And Jeroboam drew up in battle formation against him with 800,000 chosen men, mighty brave men. And Abiah stood of Mount Semarim, which is in the middle of the Ephraim, and said, Hear me, Jeroboam, and all Israel. Do you know that Yahweh Elohim of Israel has given the reign of Israel to David forever, to him and his son by a covenant salt? Yet Jeroboam son of Nebat, the servant of Shemolo son of David, rose up and rebelled against his master. And vain men gathered to him, son of Belial, and strengthened themselves against Rehoboam son of Shemolo, when Rehoboam was young and tender of heart and could not stand against him. Now you think to stand against the reign of Yahweh, which is in the hand of the son of David, and you are a large crowd, and with you are the gold caves with Jeroboam, which Jeroboam made for you as mighty ones. Have you not thrown out the priests of Yahweh, the sons of Aaron, the Levites, and made for yourself priests like the people of the lands, so that whoever comes to ordain himself each with a young bull and 7 rams then become a priest of what you are not mighty ones? But as for us, Yahweh is our Elohim, and we have not forsaken him, and priests are serving Yahweh, the sons of Aaron and the Levites in the work, and are burning to Yahweh every morning and every evening burnt offering and sweet incense and showbread is set on a green table and lampstand of gold, which with its lamp to burn every evening. For we are guarding the charge of Yahweh our Elohim, but you have forsaken him. And see, with us head is Yahweh himself, and his priest with sounding trumpet to sound the alarm against you, O children of Israel. Do not fight against Yahweh Elohim of our fathers, for you are not going to prosper. But Jeroboam sent round an ambush to go behind them, so they were in front of Yehudah, and ambush was behind them. And Yehudah turned and saw the battle was both in front and behind. Then they cried out to Yahweh, and the priest sounded the trumpet, and the men of Yehudah gave a shout. And it came to be, as the men of Yehudah shouted, that Yahweh smote Jeroboam and all Israel before Abiah and Yehudah. The children of Israel fled before Yehudah, and him gave them into their hands. And Abiah and his people smote them with a great slaughter, and 500,000 choice men of Israel fell slain. And the children of Israel were humbled at that time, while the children of Yehudah prevailed, because they relied on Yahweh Elohim of their fathers. And Abiah pursued Jeroboam and captured cities from him, Bethel with its villages, and Yeshana with its villages, and Rome with its village. And Jeroboam did not regain power again in the days of Abiahu, and Yahweh smote him, and he died. But Abiah grew strong and took 14 wives, and brought forth 22 sons and 16 daughters. And the rest of the acts of Abiah and his ways and his words are written in the commentary of the prophet Iddo. Chapter 14. So Abiah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his place. In his day, in his days the land rested 10 years. And Asa did what was good and what was right in the eyes of Yahweh his Elohim, and removed the altars of the strangers and the high places, and broke down the pillars and cut down the Asherim, and commanded Yehudah to seek Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, and to do the Torah and the command. And he removed the high places and the sun pillars from all the cities of Yehudah, and the rain rested under him. And he built cities of defense in Yehudah, since the land had rest, and he had no fighting in those days, because Yahweh had given him rest. As he said to Yehudah, let us build these cities and make walls around them, and towers, gates, and bars, while the land is yet before us, because we have sought Yahweh our Elohim. You have sought, and he has given us rest all around. So they built and prospered. And Asa had an army of 300,000 men from Yehudah bearing shield and spears, and from Benjamin 280,000 men bearing shields and drew bows. All of them were mighty brave men. And Zerah the Cushite came out against them with an army of 1,000,000 men and 300 chariots, and he came to Mareshah. And Asa went out against him, and they set battle in array in the valley of Sephadah at Mareshah. And Asa called to Yahweh his Elohim and said, Yahweh, there is no one but you. You help between the mighty and the powerless. Help us, O Yahweh Elohim, for we rest on you, and your name we go against this crowd. O Yahweh, you are our heroine. Do not let man prevail against you. So Yahweh smote the Cushites before Asa and Yehudah, and the Cushites fled, and Asa and the people who were with him pursued them to Gerar, and the Cushites fell until none was left alive for them, for they were broken before Yahweh and his army, and they took very much spoil, and smote all the cities around Gerar. The fear of Yahweh came upon them, and they plundered all the cities, for there was exceeding much spoil in them. And they also smote the camps of the herdsmen, and captured many sheep and camels, and returned to Jerusalem. Chapter 15. And the Spirit of Yahweh came upon Zariah, son of Oded, and he went out to face Asa, and said to him, Hear me, Asa, and all Yehudah and Benjamin. Yahweh is with you, and while you are with him, and if you seek him, he is found by you. But if you forsake him, he forsakes you. And for many days Israel had been without the true Elohim, and without a Torah priest, and without Torah. But in the distress they turned to Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and they sought him, and he was found by them. And in those days were no peace, and in those days there were no peace to the one who went out, nor to the one who came in, for great disturbances were on all the inhabitants of the land. They were all beaten down, nation by nation, and city by city, for Elohim troubled them with every distress. But you, be strong, and do not let your hands be feeble, for there is a reward for your work. And when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he took courage and removed the abomination from all the land of Yehudah and Benjamin, and from all the cities which he had taken in the mountains of Ephraim, and restored the altar of Yahweh that was before the porch of Yahweh. And gathered all Yehudah and Benjamin, and those who sojourned with them from Ephraim and Manasseh and Shimon, and they came over to him in great number from Israel, when they saw that Yahweh his Elohim was with him. And they gathered together at Jerusalem in the 3rd month, in the 15th year of the reign of Asa, and offered to Yahweh on that day 700 bulls and 7,000 sheep from the spoil which they had bought. And they entered into a covenant to seek Yahweh Elohim of their fathers with all their heart and with all their being. And whoever will not seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel will be put to death, from small to great, from man to woman. And they saw to Yahweh with a loud voice, with a shouting, and with trumpet, and with rams and horn. And all Yehudah rejoiced concerning the oath they had sworn with all their heart, and sought him with all their being, and he was found by them, and Yahweh gave them rest all round. And he also removed Maacah, the mother of Asa the sovereign, from being sovereigness mother, because she had made an abominable image of Asherah. And Asa cut down her abominable image, and crushed it, and bowed it the Wadi Edom. Yet the high places were not removed from Israel. However, the heart of Asa was perfect all his days, and he brought into the house of Elohim the set apart items for his father, and his own set apart silver and gold and utensils, and there were no more fightings and that 5th year of the reign of Asa. Chapter 16. In the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, the sovereign of Israel, came up against Yehudah and built Ramah. to prevent anyone going out or coming into Asa, sovereign of Yehuda. And Asa brought silver and gold from the treasuries of the house of Yahweh and the sovereign house, and sent to Ben-Hadad, sovereign of Aram, who dwelt in Damascus, saying, Let there be a covenant between you and me, and there be between my father and your father. See, I have sent you silver and gold. Come, break your covenant with Baasha, sovereign of Israel, so that he withdraws from me. And Ben-Hadad listened to sovereign Asa and sent commander of his army against the city of Israel, and they smote Ion and Dan and Abel, Ain, and all the storage cities of Naphtali. And it came to be, when Baasha heard it, that he stopped building Ramah and ceased his work. Then Asa the sovereign brought all Yehuda, and they took away the stones and timber of Ramah which Baasha had used for building, and with them he built Geba and Mizpah. And at that time Hanani the seer came to Asa, sovereign of Yehuda, and said to him, Because you have relied on the sovereign of Ram, and not relied on Yahweh your Elohim, therefore the army of the sovereign of Ram has escaped from your hand. Where the Cushites and the Lubim not a mighty army with very many chariots and horsemen? And because you relied on Yahweh and gave them into your hand, he gave them into your hand. For the eyes of Yahweh diligently search throughout the earth, show himself strong on behalf of those who had is perfect to him. You have acted foolishly in this, so from now on you shall have battles. And Asa was wroth the seer, and put him in prison, for he was enraged at him because of this. And Asa oppressed some of the people at that time. And look, the act of Asa the first and last, see, for they were written in the book of the sovereigns in Yehuda and Israel. And the 39th year of his reign, Asa became diseased in his feet, and his disease was severe. Yet even in his disease, he did not seek Yahweh at the physicians. So Asa slept with his fathers and died the 41st year of his reign. And they buried him in his own tomb, which he had made for himself in the city of David. And they laid him in the bed which was filled with spices and various kinds of ointment mixed with the perfumers' kills, made a very great burning for. And Jehoshaphat his son reigned in his place, and strengthened himself against Israel, and placed an army in all the walled city of Yehuda, and set watch posts in the land of Yehuda and in the cities of Ephraim, which Asa his father had taken. And Yahweh was with Jehoshaphat, for he walked in the former ways of his father David, did not seek the Baals, but sought the Elohim of his father, and walked into his commands, and not according to the deeds of Israel. So Yahweh established the reign his, and all Yehuda gave presents to Jehoshaphat. He had great riches and esteem, and his heart was exalted in the ways of Yahweh. He gained, he again removed the high places and the Asherim from Yehuda. And in the third year of his reign, he sent his leader Benhail and Obadiah and Zechariah and Nathaniel and Micaiah to teach in the cities of Judah. And with them he sent Levites, Shemaiah and Netanyahu and Zebadiah and Asael and Shemiramoth and Jehonathan and Abidoniahu and Tobiahu and Kobaniahu and Rewes, and with them Elishama and Jehoram and the priests. And they sought And they taught in Yehudah, and with them was the book of the Torah of Yahweh, and they went around into all cities of Yehudah and taught the people. And the fear of Yahweh fell on all the reign of the lands that was around Yehudah, and they did not fight against Jehoshaphat. And some of the Philistines brought Jehoshaphat gifts and a load of silver. And the Arabians brought him flocks, 7,700 rams, and 7,700 male goats. And Jehoshaphat became increasingly great, and he built palaces and storage cities in Yehudah. And he had much work in the cities of Yehudah, and the men of battle, mighty brave men, were in Jerusalem. And all these were in the numbers according to their father's house of Yehudah, and the commanders of thousands. Adnah the commander, and with him 300,000 mighty brave men. And next to him was Jonathan the commander, and with him 280,000. And next to him was Amasiah son of Azekri, who volunteered himself to Yahweh, and with him 200,000 mighty brave men. And of Benjamin Eliada, a mighty brave one, and with him 200,000 men armed with bow and shield. And next to him was Jehozabad, and with him 180,000 prepared for battle. These were the ones serving the sovereign, beside those whom the sovereign put the walled cities throughout Yehudah. Chapter 18. And Jehoshaphat had great riches and esteem, and allied himself with Ahab by marriage. And some years later he went down to visit Ahab in Shomeron, and Ahab slaughtered many sheep and cattle for him and the people with him, and incited him to go up him to Ramoth Gilead. And Ahab, sovereign of Israel, said to Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, "Do you go with me against Ramoth Gilead?" And he answered, "As you are, and my people are your people, even with you in battle." And Jehoshaphat said to the sovereign of Israel, "Please inquire the word of Yahweh today." And the sovereign of Israel gathered the prophet together, 400 men, and said to them, "Do you go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or do I refrain?" And they said, "Go up, for Yahweh does give it to the sovereign's land." But Jehoshaphat said, "Is there not still a prophet of Yahweh here, so that we inquire of him?" And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "There is still one man to inquire of Yahweh from him, but I hate him, because he never prophesied good concerning me, but always evil. He is Micaiah, son of Imlah." And Jehoshaphat said, "Let not the sovereign say so." So the sovereign of Israel called one of his officers and said, "Bring Micaiah, son of Imlah, at once." And the sovereign of Israel and Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Judah, dressed in their robes, sat each on his throne, and they sat on the threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Shemron, and the prophets were prophesying before them. And Zedekiah, son of Canaan, and had made horn of iron for himself, and said, "Thus said Yahweh, with this you put the Amaramean until they are destroyed." And all the prophets were prophesying so, saying, "Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, and Yahweh shall give it into the hands of the sovereign." And the messenger who had gone to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, "See, the word of the prophets with one mouth are good towards the sovereign. So please let your word be like the word of one of them, and you shall speak good." And Micaiah said, "As Yahweh lives, whatever my Elohim say, that I speak." And he came to the sovereign, and the sovereign said to him, "Micaiah, do we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or do I refrain?" And he said, "Go and prosper, and they are given into your hand." And the sovereign said to him, "How many times have I made you swear that you do not speak to me except the truth in the name of Yahweh?" So he said, "I saw all Israel scattered on mountains as sheep that do not have no shepherd. And Yahweh said, These have no master, let each return to his house in peace." And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Did I not say to you that he will not prophesy good concerning me, but evil? Then he said, Therefore, hear the word of Yahweh. I saw Yahweh sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of the heaven standing on his right and on his left. And Yahweh said, Who shall entice Ahab, sovereign of Israel, to go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said his, the other said that. The spirit came forward and stood before Yahweh and said, Let me entice him. Yahweh said to him, In what way? And he said, I should go out and be a spirit of falsehood in the mouth of all his prophets. And said, Entice him, and also prevailed. Go out and so. And now, see, Yahweh has put a spirit of falsehood in the mouth of the prophets of yours, and Yahweh has spoken evil concerning you. And Zedekiah son of Kenanan came near and smote Micaiah on the cheeks and said, Which way did the spirit of Yahweh pass over from me to speak to you? And Micaiah said, Look, you shall see on that day when you go into the inner room or hide. Then the sovereign of Israel said, Take Micaiah and return him to Amon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the sovereign's son, and say, Thus says the sovereign, Put this one in prison, and feed him with bread and of affliction, water of affliction, until I return in peace. And Micaiah said, If you return at all peace, Yahweh has not spoken by me. And he said, Hear, O you people. Then the sovereign of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the sovereign of Yehudah, went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Let me discard myself and go in battle, but you put on your robes. And the sovereign of Israel disguised himself, and he went into the battle. And the sovereign of Aram had commanded the commanders of the chariots who were in him, saying, Fight with one small or great, but only with the sovereign of Israel. And the sovereign of Aram had commanded the commanders of the chariots who were with him, saying, Fight with no one small or great, but only with the sovereign of Israel. And it came to be, when the commanders of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, It is the sovereign of Israel. So they turned around to fight against him. And Jehoshaphat cried out, and Yahweh helped him, and Yahweh moved them to turn away from him. And it came to be, when the commanders of the chariots saw that it was not sovereign of Israel, that they turned back from pursuing him. And Amon drew a bow in his simplicity, and smote the sovereign of Israel between the joints of his armor. And he said to the driver of his chariot, Turn around and take me out of the battle, for I am wounded. But the battle increased that day, and the sovereign of Israel was propped up in his chariot facing the Aramean until evening, and he died at the time of the going down the sun. Chapter 19. Let's meet in the next episode as we read chapter 19 to the end of 2nd Chronicles. Thank you for staying tuned as we journey in the 40 days of reading the scripture. My name is Joseph Njenga. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, Yahweh Salvation Media, please do so. Also follow us, Victor Kirun in Facebook, Messianic Show in YouTube, and Injilia Milele Yashua Messiah for more teachings, and also for this 40 days of scripture reading. Thank you, and may Yahweh bless and keep you.